All right, a very warm welcome to you. Thank you very much for keeping it KBC. It's you're just in time for the very next interview of the day, and this morning it's all about matters faith in corruption. We are talking about how faith is fighting against corruption, and this morning, join me. I'm joined by Pastor Chepkwony Paul. To my extreme left, he is a governance commissioner at the Inter-Religious Council of Kenya, that is IRCK. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
And next to him is Bishop John Warari, an executive member of Inter-Religious Council of Kenya. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
And Sujatha Kotamraju, National General Secretary at the Hindu Council of Kenya. Karibu sana.
I'm also a member of IRCK.
Member of IRCK also.
Yes.
All right. So this morning, as you talk about matters, faith against corruption, I would like you to be part of this conversation from wherever you are watching us from. The SMS line is on 20154. Start with the word Channel 1. Tell us your name and where you are watching us from. On Twitter, the hashtag is Good Morning Kenya. Tag me at Ram Aguko. My colleagues handle Jane Obui at KBC Television. The hashtag is Good Morning Kenya. And I would like to start with a quote from one of the Mombasa Catholic bishops, because this discussion about corruption has been heated for quite some time now. And I remember Archbishop Martin Kivuva, who said on Sunday, and I quote, "The church is an important stakeholder and has a critical role to play in checking grand corruption within the society." And I'd like to start with you, Bishop, because now we're speaking now in terms of faith against corruption. How far are we when it comes to checking grand corruption in the country?
Thank you so very much, my brother Ram. I'd like to start by saying that this fight is real, and corruption has crept in all our sectors, and the church has been at the watchtower. We've not been sleeping. You have mentioned Archbishop Kevova, the Archbishop of Mombasa, and this ribbon is the ribbon the Archbishop put on my coat, because the Catholic Church, they are having a period of fighting against corruption, and they started in Subukia.
That is exactly ribbon.
This ribbon is saying, one against corruption. I joined the Catholic faithfuls and their leaders.
You were in Subukia?
I wasn't, but when we met with the Archbishop, we sit in the board. He's actually our chairman of the Dialogue Reference Group. That is the top organ of the clergy that meets to work with Kenya in all issues. And so he granted me the honor of being one of the champions in the nation that is saying no to corruption. So this has been a journey. The fight against corruption is not one-day event. It's a process. And for us, in the Inter-Religious Council of Kenya, we came together in a convocation, and we agreed that corruption is a vice that is eating into the fabrics of this society. And we started by reflecting within us in the religious sector. And we felt we should do away with corruption. And then, because we have been given the moral mandate, that includes our prophetic mandate in the nation, to walk with the nation and remind the nation that the evil or the sin of corruption can bring down any society.
And I'm looking at corruption as a sin, because now we're talking about faith. Regardless of whether you are a Christian or a Hindu, corruption as a sin. And then Sujatha, you will be telling us whether in Hindu we have such kind of a word as corruption. And you mentioned about it being sin. But let me come to you, Pastor Chepkwony. How far do you think the church is failing, or are our religious leaders failing to fight corruption?
Thank you. I cannot say there is failure, because it is a process. According to the Bible and the Quran, we are all born sinners. So it is a restoration to the moral standard. Since we are born sinners, this fight against corruption is part of restoration of the character and moral character among the people. Considering the situation in the world, among all societies, we are all evil-minded. We are evil-minded.
It's the nature of a human being.
It's the nature of the human being that they are, by nature, they are evil. Even a child is born.
Is evil.
Is evil. Because you can give a child a sweet, for example. He or she has not known anything. And can you request him or remove it from her or him? He will fight. Who taught this child fighting? Who told this child that this kind of denial or something? It is nature. So religious leaders, we are here to represent God, to tell the society there is a moral character that is expected of us from our Creator God. Because we are here, we are not here permanently. We live between 70 and 100 years. Beyond that is just a bonus, but no one will live forever. That means there is life after. And this life after means we need to build a moral character here so that we can have that life hereafter.
Right.
And this is part of the training. We are just reminding the society corruption is sin. It's part of the many sins corruption is one thing. There are many other things. The church is not fighting only corruption, or the religious leaders are not fighting only corruption. There are many other things. Corruption has come out clearly that it is one that is eating society, robbing of those people who may deserve some help from us. We are robbing them. That means we are reminding we have a moral obligation to assist those who are unfortunate in society. And corruption is one of the things we have to remove.
It's quite interesting, Sujatha, when it comes to, you said a child is born evil. I don't know if that is true.
Yeah.
I'm not Hindu, but you can elaborate on that also.
You are not Hindu, but your name is the Ram.
Yeah, my name is Ram. I don't mind introducing myself to you. You laughed. Maybe.
Thank you very much having me here.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, even as our brother said, even we have 6 negative qualities within us. I'll say in Sanskrit, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya. That means desire, greed, pride, like that. So we have all the negative qualities. How to come out these negative qualities? Yeah. So that is the.
And sin is amongst this.
Yes. Sin, okay, we call all these things. It is all the negative effects. We don't say sin, but it is all the negative qualities we are having within us. So how to come out this one? So we have to have a balanced mind. And how to, balanced mind, how we will get the balanced mind? You have to be happy always. You have to be content whatever you are having, not to imitate others. We always see that, okay, he is having the very luxury car. Even I have to have that one. So the desires always increases. There is no limit for the desires. So we have to seal our desire. Sealing on desire is very important. Whatever you have, you have to be happy for that. So if you say, no, I want this, there is no limit. You have to limit one certain point. Whatever my duty, I have to do my duty without expecting any results and rewards for that. Do your duty.
And well, for the record, those who don't know, my name Ram. Hindu. Today we have opened up some boxes. Now, speaking of boxes, we have the issues to do with the gifts that have been, given, and especially the limelight fell on some of our political leaders when it comes to accepting donations, accepting gifts, and there was some, trying to fight corruption, gifts exceeding 50,000 shillings were, given the directive that they must be accompanied by a cover letter from the donor. And now here we're talking about accepting gifts, accepting donations. Do you think that this move was the right move that you're making from the religious sector towards the political scene? Bishop?
Any move towards fighting corruption, no matter how feeble it is, it's very, very important. Because, as we said, corruption like cancer has eaten into the fabric of this society. And one thing that has been lacking is transparency. If Ram, you come to me with a gift, I would ask the motive.
But they say it's rude to question a gift.
Yeah, they would say that, but we should know the bribe giver and the taker, they are equally guilty. So there should be measures to cut that, because like the Pope said when he had visited Kenya, that corruption is as sweet as sugar, but as you continue taking unlimited amounts of sugar, you will end up having a disease called diabetes. And diabetes...
A diabetic corruption.
Yes, diabetes will eat into your vital organs, and before you know it, your kidneys are not working. Your heart is failing. You would need dialysis. You cannot deliver. So it doesn't matter which way or how strong or how weak we fight this snake that is within the house. We must agree that corruption is a disease, it's evil. We should call it actually its true name, because we have found many of us, we have baptized corruption. We would say kitu kidogo, we would say chai, we would say all that. These are terminologies that are trying to cover up the actual disease. When you have diabetes, you have it and you need treatment. And some treatment is expensive. So why should we go into remedying? Why don't we do prevention? We prevent it before it gets to us.
And that's a problem. How are we preventing it? Because it is happening. I had one of our leaders, political leaders, the Deputy President, William Ruto, saying that he knows the far God has taken him. Ni mimi najua umbali Mungu amenitoa. So when he is giving, he is having his own God, the way you would give just as a token of appreciation because of the far that God has taken you. Then is it preventive if we go in that direction?
Okay, as I said earlier, the most important preventive measure is to capture the mind and the heart. According to the Bible, the heart is just the mind of the person when it is well guarded, because we need to guard the heart above everything else. According to Proverbs, above everything else, the heart should be guarded. Now, the motive of giving 100,000, 20 shillings, corruption should be zero tolerance. Even a shilling is corruption. Even a shilling is corruption.
So putting the limit at above 50,000 shilling might not be as important.
It is important. It can assist,
important.
but somebody can give 20. Because corruption is not, we are not only targeting politicians. We have many other leaders from the society, even from the religious sector, you see, who may be corrupt in a way. Corruption means you are buying your way wrongfully, you see. Can you be able to win my heart without giving me anything?
Is it possible?
That is what I'm saying. We need to target the heart. The whole aspect of having religion is to transform the hearts of humanity towards God. See, once we transform the hearts, even if I give 1,000,000 shillings, when the heart is right, and where that money came from is right, and the purpose of that money is right, and the backup is right, because we may say, give a backup. I can give a backup, but you can accept that backup, yes, but what is the intention of giving this money? The intent of it, what is the intention? Like Bishop said,
appreciating your God.
Yes, you can appreciate God in any way. As let's say I'm a politician, for example. Can I go and do something without my right hand knowing it? And it's only my God. According to the Bible, give without letting anybody else praising you because you give. Can I be able to take this 1,000,000 shilling to these street kids who are here, who are suffering, and buy land somewhere? and have something for them without even people knowing it. You see, as you give to the church or to any project, probably you want public recognition. Can you do something? Are there things which are associated with you beyond public knowledge? Can you prove it? You see? But if you are giving publicly and there is no private assistance to those people who may not matter in quotes in the society, you see? So religious leaders and all religion, we are not only fighting corruption in the political circle. Corruption cuts across. We want to a society where it is clean, even in our family setup.
I'm looking at what you said earlier, the
Yes.
heart.
Yes.
Can you make someone like you without giving to that person? Can you make the God that you're serving, for example,
Yes.
your God in Hindu, your God in
Christian,
in the
in
Christian
Islam.
sector, can you please him without giving to him? And where do we draw the line between that giving, that kind of giving, and the kind of giving that's associated to corruption? Sujatha.
Yeah, God, God we say, God never say you take the gifts, presents from others. You do the service to the mankind. That is what the God wants. Do the service to the mankind. Whatever the charity you get, you give it to the society. Use for the hospital.
Even a Prado.
Prado money, there is no need to give the Prado to the poor person. There is no need. If he want the meal, we can't give him the Prado. There is no use for him the Prado. If you need the food, you can give the food. Service to the man can give them the good education, good medical facilities, good shelter. That's what the local people they want. Not the. If you give them Prado, also they don't know how to use it.
We had one of our church religious leaders who received a vehicle, brought in a lot of debate. Kenyans on social media went up, in arms against that. Why would you give this person, the gift of a car? But the leader said that this is out of the goodness of my heart. Where do we draw the line then?
People are dying for the starvation. If you see the many brilliant students, they are not going to the higher education. Why? Because of the poverty. Why they are not getting good medical facilities? Because of the poverty. So where the poverty, where the people they want, what the society want, we have to give that one. So not the big gifts like Prado and whatever the other thing.
So for a religious leader to receive such kind of gifts, is it wrong in your view?
If they can receive that one, they can, but they can use it for the society.
Receive?
And give it to give back to the society.
Now, speaking of giving back, there is a statement by the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops that added that anti-corruption desks were, they wanted anti-corruption desks for where people can be able to report crimes, and it will be set up in all churches. Now, here I'm looking at the aspect of people reporting these crimes, but I'm a critical thinker. I'm looking at it on the other side. What about the church? Have we had instances where religious institutions are reporting corruption cases so far?
Yeah. I would beg we don't lose the big picture here. The thing is, we are saying corruption is a disease. Let's call it cancer. And I want to repeat, it has eaten into our society.
Yes.
And that's a problem. And so society, the church, the religious organizations are included in the society. And what can bring a solution is we all look inside. We inspect ourselves. For example, in the media, is there corruption? In the government, is there corruption? And the answer is yes. Now, what Reverend Chepkwony said here, that God created us for a higher purpose.
And there's a question that I also wanted to ask as we continue. In the church,
yes.
Is there corruption?
And the answer is yes.
In faith, is there corruption?
There is corruption. And when you agree that you are sick, that is one way forward to recovery. And so what we are saying, let me use the scriptures. The Bible says, come, let us reason together.
Utatoa Korani yako pia.
Guitar. Guitar, yeah. Come, let us reason together. What we are looking for, we are not out for witch hunting. We are not out to a blame game. In simple language, what we are saying, that this house called Kenya, a snake has crept in, and it's hiding somewhere. And it's dangerous. It can bite anybody at any time. So instead of blame game, let's look for the snake, get rid of it, and then have a sitting as a nation and ask ourselves, who left the door open?
For the snake to enter.
Or the window. And we are asking these questions not to punish or to tarnish Ram or Bishop Warari. We are asking so that we can have a better nation tomorrow. So the facts are hard. Corruption has been there, and we must get rid of it. How do we get rid of it? We begin with myself, with you. Have you been receiving bribes? Stop. From today henceforth, say no to corruption. That is why we are here.
Like you said very well.
Let me chip in. Let me talk biblically.
Okay.
The Bible says in the book of John, 1 John, whoever says it does not have sin,
Let him be the first.
is a liar, because we are all basically sinners.
Okay.
We must admit, as Bishop said. Once we admit, that is the beginning of all things. Two, religion is not a building. It's not a church, it's not a mosque.
What is it?
It is the people. It is us. People in the media are religious. People in the government are religious. That is where members come from. People in the society, everywhere, in all sectors, they are religious. They subscribe to a religion.
But will we ever see these religious leaders reporting cases of corruption?
No, I'm coming there. I'm coming there. Now, the Bible says, talks about faithful stewards. We are all stewards of God's character, of God's expectation. And the stewardship is not in church. The stewardship, I know you are subscribing to to a religion. Where people know you are religious is where you are walking. Can you practice religion in government because you are subscribing to a religion? The church is not different from the government, because the government are the people. And the people on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they go to worship. And where they go to worship, they are taught to go and practice. James says, pure religion is what you are doing in the society, to the orphans, to the widows, in the society. Where you are walking, can you represent what you believe? So the whole aspect, as Bishop said, is that we are trying to instill among the people that they live faithfully wherever they are. Religious leaders, that is our work, to teach, to inspire, to motivate, to bring back, so that they can realize they are not living for themselves. They live for God wherever they are. On Friday they go to mosque. That is not Christianity. That is not religion. On Saturday they go to church. That is not religion. On Sunday they go to church. That is not religion. Religion is what you live in your family, in your workplace, in the government, on the road, wherever. Once you convince yourself that God is watching, let me ask a question. If you are going on the road and the policeman caught you and you know you are on the wrong, what will you do?
You want me to answer that?
No. I'm just posing a question. What will you do?
What will you do?
So you have to go down
you
and
go to court.
Yes, you have to go to court, but accept. Don't deny what is obvious. Accept. Acceptance means you accept you are on the wrong, but can you correct it? You see, can you correct it? So these are the measures. Now, reporting, I'm coming back to your question. The church or the religious leaders reporting. Let me tell you something, that God has enabled the government to run in this country, and if you report to them anything that you know it is there, because whoever is reporting, not religious leaders, but anybody can report. That has been done wrong, you just report. You are not investigating, but you just report. Two is that as you report this thing, what have you done to rectify this person? If my bishop here steals something, as a religious leader, I have to talk to him. If he can run away from it, that is fine. If he repeats, now he goes to the authority.
Still, because you're still talking about individuals,
Yes.
and I'm looking at these religious leaders. Have we ever had any of these faithfuls, regardless of whichever belief they belong to, reporting these crimes? Has it happened?
Yeah, Ram, we would like the public to know that, for example, the EACC, that is a walking distance from here, is an institution that has been mandated by the government to rectify issues that pertains corruption. And their desk is open. In fact, if you go to their website, there is an opening that you can report any incidences that are questionable. The same with any police station. Most of the arrests that we see the police doing, they come by the public reporting some suspicious characters. So that door is there. That and the church actually, we you know, the pastor or the priest knows the crook in the village. And what we usually do, we approach them and we tell them if they can, they should amend, change their ways. And if they don't, we report them.
Oh, I see.
Many incidences. Many incidences, they have even brought firearms to us in the office. Somebody comes and says, Bishop, I have been living this kind of life, but from now on, I want to stop.
They leave the firearms in the offices.
We call the police, and the police come and they collect the firearm. We've done our part. And we tell them we are going to work with this man. Let him be in our care, because our work is shepherding. That is what we want to do, even for this nation.
Restorative.
Restoration. We agree that we have had the diabetes of corruption. But then what do? We now start eating right, walking right, doing things the right way.
Now, let me come to you, Sujatha. What do you say about this? Do you see like the same thing that they are saying when it comes to restoration? You talk about shepherding people. Looking at the role of faithfuls, is it possible for us to have religious leaders who are straightforward to the point that we should not be having discussions where the church is being blamed for allowing corruption to take place?
Yeah, you know, see, most of the Kenyans are religious people.
Yes.
So it is the religious leaders' responsibility bring the people closer to the religion and to the Lord, and build their confidences, build their strong character. And you know, we say everything, the thoughts come to your mind, and the heart will examine whether it is good or bad, how to discriminate these things. And we do, even Gandhiji, you know, Gandhiji we say is the father of the nation. He always says, before going to the bed, do the self-auditing. Whatever the actions you did in this day, whether they are good actions or bad actions.
That's what the father says.
The father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi.
Mahatma Gandhi.
Yeah. You just see whatever the actions you did in this day, whether they are the good actions or bad actions. If it is a bad actions, how to control, and how to not to repeat that action again. So, that is the self auditing before going to the bed you have to do, and also do the meditation. There are many ways of meditation Hinduism we teach. One is simple meditation, you sit in one calm and quiet place, just the thoughts will flow, whether it is a good or bad. The bad thoughts, you start filtering the bad thoughts and promote the good thoughts.
So we are talking about someone doing self-reflection.
Self-reflections.
Analyzing
Yes,
yourself as a person.
As a person.
So we are talking about not only improving others.
First we start from you. From the family. Charity begins at home. Once you start, then your children they'll observe, and the neighbors and the society to the nation. Slowly it will start from home.
Okay. I love what you are saying here. Shepherding, restoration, quite a lot. Bishop Philip Anyolo, he said, and I quote, "Political statements will not be allowed during the liturgical celebrations." We talk about, he said that at Subukia, right? That was in October. He said this, that political statements, political platforms will not be given to people, that religious institutions should not be used as political platforms. As we're talking about restoration, how do we sieve out? How do we distinguish between us having a political leader coming to use our platform for religious purposes, for self-reflection, just as Sujatha was talking about, and from the other side of giving this politician a political platform to make his own statements?
Well, we have to set boundaries, and that is what the Archbishop was saying. For example, this media house, KBC, which has done us proud through the years. You have boundaries. For example, I can't come here and start hawking mangoes, because this media house is for entertainment, education, and information. And the church is a holy, and our religious setups, they are holy sanctuaries, the temple, the mosque. So I believe the good Archbishop was saying that when the political leaders approach, they should know they are entering into the house of God. And so allow the priest to do his work, and then later, if the politicians, who are actually our members, they would like to address the population, or rather the congregation, they can do it after the service. And better so, outside the sanctuary.
But they are your members.
They are our members.
How do you make them feel as though they have also that sense of belonging to that religious institution in a way that doesn't seclude them from the people?
Exactly. And this is why I said we shepherd. We shepherd the good and the bad. We, like in a family, you can have a son that is obedient and good, and you can have a wayward son. So do you ban this other son that is wayward? In fact, the wayward son need to be brought closer to the parents so that he can rectify his ways. So the same. We are saying that we walk with everyone. We shepherd. And even in this time of need as a nation, because Kenya, when you hear that our sugar is raised with some things, when we hear ugali has aflatoxin, when you hear our meat has a metasulfate,
everything has a problem.
It means then we are sick. And the question is, who has slept on duty? Who is that who allowed this thing to come? We are not having proper service delivery.
Corruption still.
This corruption, why is it that we are having bad governance? Why we saw the other day a few police officers beat a young university student in a very brutal manner. Then the question is, where did we go wrong? When did the rain start beating us? But we will not look at the problem without offering solution. And the solution we are offering is, can we say no to this vice? Can we say from now on, can we be angry enough to say, enough is enough? We want proper governance. We want proper service delivery. We want transparency. We want, if, for example, I live from here to Nakuru, I want to time myself. I don't want to be detained somewhere in a roadblock, or because an officer wants some 50 shillings. And by the way, I want to serve notice to these people who are corrupt on our roads. Get out of our roads. Stop collecting the 50 shillings, and then after that, that vehicle that you have allowed to proceed is going to have an accident. And we are told that we have killed so many Kenyans because of some people who are condoning corruption.
Right.
So the cry on call is, can we change from within?
And Sujatha, is it possible, changing from within? You talked about self-reflection, and you talked about how Mahatma Gandhi, speaks about, the way a person should, take care of their own self from within. I'm looking at that because religious institutions also have a role to play in the upbringing of an individual's, spiritual growth. Is it possible to distinguish these two things, the spiritual growth of a person together with this person doing a wrong thing at the right place, which is the religious places?
It is not impossible. It is possible.
It is
Maybe
possible.
it will take time. Even in the early childhood, we start teaching them value-based education. When we're in the tender age, we can mold them. And also in the religious leaders, we go to our places, they just read the verses and they explain the meaning of that verse. They can also do how to implement our day-to-day activities. Reading the verses and telling the meaning, it is not enough for the religious leaders. They have to also implement our day-to-day life, how to do that one, how to be satisfied, how to do our duty without expecting any reward. So that is the religious leaders' responsibility to teach them. And also the patriotism, if you have doing for the nation, even in our Hinduism we say, Janani Janma Bhumi Cha Swargadapi Gariyasi. Mother and the motherland is the higher than the heaven. Doing for the service, you are doing service to your mother and motherland. It is that higher than the heaven. That is the big statement.
I love that. Although I will cram it as you continue those words. But doing service to your motherland, it is higher than heaven.
Heaven, yes.
Now I want us to address one thing. I know you have your input on that later on, but the EACC, in collaboration with the National Anti-Corruption Campaign Steering Committee and the IRCK all together will be launching a scripture reference material on the 20th of November, and that is tomorrow. And it will be happening at the Sarova Pan-Africa Hotel. So make sure that you keep it. KBC will be keeping you up to date. Yesterday you had a brief with the journalists there. Yes. You had a press briefing, and I'd like just to start with you, Pastor Chepkwony, about these scripture reference materials. What do they entail, and what are they all about? How do they help in this fight against corruption?
Okay, thank you. You see, part of the work of the religious group is to give information, because some people may be doing things without knowledge. And this knowledge have been put in a booklet. The Muslims from the Quran, from the Gita of the Hindu, and from the Bible.
Everything in a booklet?
Everything in a booklet.
Regardless of the religion?
Regardless of religion. That is one booklet. To show that corruption cuts across, and we are all fighting as religious leaders, the Hindu, the Muslims, and the Christians, because these are the religions in our society. Two is that we want the society to know that it is the purpose of their creator to know that God is against this vice. Not basically as religious leaders, but God is against it. And once we direct to God, like what you said about the temple, the church, politicians coming. Let me tell you, Ram, that as politicians come with their interest, there must be people in this congregation who informs them.
Because they are not just...
They cannot just come.
They don't impose
They
themselves.
don't impose themselves. Some politicians are innocent because they have been informed there is a gathering here, come.
Okay.
And through that, even if they have their meeting outside, that is taking advantage of the religious gathering.
Right, let me come to you, Bishop. How important is this booklet, this book launch that you're having
Yes.
tomorrow?
It's very important because the EACC and NACC, we came into a memorandum of understanding because we felt we, as religious leaders, we would want to work with the government institutions that are mandated to end corruption. And so it's a very important book because it's going to address this problem. And Ram, there are three ways that this book is helping it's going to help our citizens. Number one, to understand what corruption is. What is this disease? Number two, there are institutions of government that are constitutional institutions like EACC and the rest that have been brought up and they need to be strengthened. It breaks my heart when I hear some people saying that we should disband some of these institutions.
Some are saying you should disband the EACC.
Yes, some of them who are already, they have put their finger in the jar and they have been caught.
With their hands in the cookie.
In the cookie. And so they are saying it was not me. And we can see it's written all over. So they end up giving a quick solution. Let's do away with the EACC. Let's do away with this. And we shouldn't. We should strengthen the institutions. And thirdly, and most important, we should not only punish the culprits, we should also correct them and also reward the good Kenyans like Mr. Ram here. I've discovered you are against corruption.
Yes,
From the depth of your heart. And we should reward you as a champion of anti-corruption. I think at the end of the year or so, we could come up with awards of those corporates, of those individuals who have stood to fight corruption. So those are the three most important things that this booklet is going to come up with. It's a people-friendly booklet. It's speaking the language of our hearts because out of 10 Kenyans, 8 belong to a particular religion. So we brought in the Christians, the Muslims, and the Hindus, and we've cropped scriptures from messages from these holy scriptures, and we are telling people that they should reflect and change from within, and that would prevent the sickness called corruption.
And you know, we talk about these scripture reference materials that can be used as tools, you know, for the public in places of worship. You know, we are talking about across different or three major faiths. We have Islam, Hindu, and Christians. What messages do you also, you know, do we also derive from these booklets that we should be expecting tomorrow?
Yes, it is from our Bhagavad Gita. It is, you know, Bhagavad Gita teaches each and everything, the minute things, the details it gives. And mostly we are talking about our duty. Do your duty. That right, dharma, we'll say in dharma, then you will get karma, then you will get the moksha.
Karma, is that karma?
It's karma. So you know about karma.
I've heard about karma, the one that comes back to you.
Yes, it is whatever you do, that will come back to you. Then it will get the salvation. And we also believe the soul is immortal. Whatever the actions you do, it reflects in your next birth also.
Okay. And as a precaution to the event on the 20th, we had partners who held a media breakfast yesterday at the Panafric Hotel. I don't know if you were there then.
Yes,
how was it yesterday when it comes to the turnout and the feedback you got from the public with regards to the information that was given out? Bishop?
Yeah, that was pre-launch.
Yes.
We were just letting the media houses know that we have this coming tomorrow. And the reception was very good. I'm always excited by the fourth estate, because indeed the media, you can steer this nation to the right direction. So we came out there to give points. Number one was that we have been having inadequate teaching and preaching against corruption.
It's not there.
It is there,
inadequate.
inadequate. And I think even this house, media house, and the fourth estate, you can allocate some percentage of your presentation to speak against corruption.
In terms of programming.
In terms of programming.
Okay.
And then we should not give nicknames to this corruption.
Chai.
We should call it
Towa.
what
Towa
it is.
kitu kidogo.
Towa kitu kidogo. And in fact, if you go out there in other countries and try to do that, you'll be arrested because it is not allowed. And then we should accept the fact that this nation it's on its knees because of the flooding of corruption in the nation.
All right.
And we need remedy for that.
I would like us to give our final remarks on this, because time, our time is up, and I'm giving you each to have just 30 seconds to speak. And the question is just one: will we ever end corruption in this country? Because we have the president who has the Big Four agenda, and corruption is one thing that is derailing the Big Four agenda. Sujatha, I'll start with you. Give your final remarks as you answer that question.
Yes, we can end the corruption, but slowly. It takes time, but we'll achieve that.
You'll achieve that. Bishop.
Yeah, I would say like the 3 points I gave, that we understand what corruption is, we strengthen the institutions, and then finally we punish and reward. We punish the wrongdoers. We see corruption cases taking too long. We want to see conclusion. We want to see the big and the small
Prosecutions to be taking place.
Yes, kindly.
All right.
Yeah.
Chepkwony?
Yeah, it is possible once we leverage on the goodwill of the government, goodwill of the institution, goodwill of the religious leaders, and we take the importance of these messages seriously. And let us begin from the top. All the leaders, top government leaders, top religious leaders, top people, once you shine and you are against corruption, the rest will be done. It is possible.
And I wonder, when someone fights corruption and they're on social media and it is seen that is fighting corruption, some will say, Kenyans would say, that is just publicity. Well, that is for us to find out whether corruption can end. That is, I was with the Pastor Chepkwony Paul, Governance Commissioner, Interreligious Council of Kenya, and Bishop John Warari, Executive Member at the Interreligious Council of Kenya, and Sujatha Kotamraju, the National General Secretary, Hindu Council of Kenya, and also a member of the Interreligious Council of Kenya. Yes. Karibuni sana. Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure having all of you this morning.
Thank you.
Keep texting, keep tweeting. The hashtag, as always, is Good Morning Kenya. Tag me at Ramagugo, at KBC Television, at Jane Wamboi. That brings us to the end of this show. Keep texting. The SMS line is still on, up and running. 20154 is the number. Start with the word Channel 1. And that is a good place to end this show this morning. It has been a pleasure having you all the way from 6 till now. See you again tomorrow morning for another edition of Good Morning Kenya from 6 a.m. My name is Ram Aguko. Let's stand together against corruption. That is what we are talking about this morning. God bless you. God bless the work of your hands. My name is Ram Aguko. Keep it. Good Morning Kenya.